Patricia Rhodes was born in England in approximately 1936. She was a quiet, ordinary woman who wanted what most people want: a home, a family, a life built on something solid and real. In the late 1960s, she met a man who presented himself as exactly the kind of person she was looking for. His name, he told her, was John Allen. He was charming, confident, and persuasive. He was also a man living under a completely false identity. A man who had faked his own death, abandoned his wife and children, stolen another man's identity, and is now courting Patricia while still legally married to someone else. She had no way of knowing any of this. Nobody told her. Salcombe is a small and beautiful harbour town on the South Devon coast, one of the most picturesque places in England. It sits at the mouth of the Kingsbridge estuary, surrounded by rolling hills and clear water, and in the 1970s it was a genteel, affluent little community of holidaymakers, sailors, and local residents. It was not the kind of place where people expected terrible things to happen. In the spring of 1975, Patricia Allen arrived in Salcombe with her husband John and their two young children, 7-year-old Jonathan and 5-year-old Victoria. The family moved into a flat at Powderham Villas. The children started at local schools. To the neighbours, who saw them going about their lives, they appeared to be an ordinary family settling into a new town. Patricia did not know the man she had married was not who he claimed to be. His real name was Anthony John Angel. He had been born on 11th of June 1934 in Torbay and had grown up largely in Bournemouth. In the 1950s, he had joined the army, rising to the rank of Staff Sergeant in the Royal Engineers, and had married his first wife, a woman named Monica. They had 2 sons together, David and Julian. By the mid-1960s, Anthony Angel's life was unraveling. He had been caught stealing money from his workplace in 1966 and faced prosecution. He did not face it. Instead, in 1967, Anthony Angel walked to the cliffs near Beachy Head on the East Sussex coast, a place already known as a destination for suicides, left a pile of his clothing and a note, and waded into the sea. Then he swam along the coastline to a spot where he had hidden a set of fresh clothes. He dressed himself and walked away. He left Monica and his 2 young sons behind without a word. He left his debts. He left his identity. He stole financial documents, including checkbooks and credit cards, from a golf club in East Sussex and used them to become someone else entirely. He became John Allen. Within months of faking his death, John Allen had met Patricia Rhodes. He married her in late 1967. The marriage was bigamous. He was still legally married to Monica. He was convicted of bigamy and other offences in July 1968 and received a suspended sentence. He was convicted again in 1970 of burning 3 bags of mail he had been employed to deliver and spent 1 year in prison. He divorced Monica eventually and married Patricia legally in 1972. 2 children had already been born, Jonathan in 1968 and Victoria in 1970. Patricia had married a man with a criminal record, a faked death, an abandoned family, and a history of deceit so thorough it extended back almost 20 years. But she did not know this. He had presented himself as John Allen throughout. The truth was buried. By early 1975, the family had moved from Torquay, where Allen had worked as a restaurant manager at the Grand Hotel, to Salcombe. Allen took a job as manager of the Marine Hotel. Almost immediately, he began an affair with a local widow named Eunice Yabsley, who ran a restaurant called The Galley in the town. He was deeply in debt. His finances were collapsing. He had no intention of letting any of this interfere with what he wanted. Sometime between the 25th and 30th of May, 1975, Patricia Allen and her two children, 7-year-old Jonathan and 5-year-old Victoria, disappeared from Salcombe. Allen's account of what happened changed over the years, but the core of it was this. He and Patricia had argued, she had left, and then 2 days later she had returned and taken the children. He did not know where she had gone. He had not reported any of them missing. He never reported them missing. Patricia's gold and yellow Volkswagen was found nearby. Inside were a pair of dinghy oars. Patricia's bank account, which contained hundreds of pounds from the sale of a business, was never touched again. No relative or friend of Patricia's ever heard from her again. No teacher at Jonathan and Victoria's schools heard from them. No one in Salcombe or anywhere else in the country received so much as a postcard. Devon and Cornwall police launched a major investigation. Tracker dogs searched the surrounding countryside. Divers searched the waters around Salcombe. Officers conducted a fibre optic search of every floor and cavity in the flat at Powderham Villas where the family had lived. Scientific searches for blood were carried out in Patricia's Volkswagen, in the car belonging to Eunice Yabsley, and in Allen's boat. Nothing was found. Not a trace. Allen told anyone who asked that Patricia and the children had emigrated to South Africa to escape his creditors. Within weeks of their disappearance, he had moved in with Eunice Yabsley. In 1976, he legally changed his name to Allen by deed poll. He collected on Patricia's life insurance policy. He was observed at the time to have scratches on his arms. Devon and Cornwall police investigated, but concluded there was insufficient evidence to prosecute. The case was left open but cold. Patricia and the children remained officially listed as missing persons. Allen and Eunice Yabsley separated in 1987. In 1990, Allen was convicted of 5 charges of theft involving a conveyancing business he had been running, and was sentenced to 3 years in prison. When arrested, he was found to be in possession of a passport in the name of Eunice Yabsley's son. In 1992, Eunice Yabsley published a book about her years with Allen. She called it Presumed Dead. In it, she described the scratches on Allen's arms in May 1975 and raised the question that had never gone away. What had really happened to Patricia and the children? In 2001, police reopened the murder inquiry. The reason for the reopening was a discovery that destroyed the central element of Allen's account. Allen had told investigators that Patricia had left Salcombe with a man he named as her supposed boyfriend. When detectives traced this man, they found that he had suffered a severe stroke in 1972, 3 years before Patricia disappeared, leaving him physically incapable of the role Allen had described. The alibi had been built around a man who could not possibly have played the part Allen had assigned him. That man had since died, meaning he could never be questioned. Allen was interviewed. He made no admissions. He was charged with 3 counts of murder. The trial of Anthony John Allen, the man who'd lived for nearly 40 years as John Allen, began at Exeter Crown Court in October 2002. There were no bodies. There was no physical evidence of murder. The prosecution's case was built entirely on circumstantial evidence. Allen's failure to report his family missing, his immediate move into Eunice Yabsley's home, his collection of Patricia's life insurance, the scratches on his arms, the impossibility of the alibi he had constructed, and the pattern of a man who had spent his entire adult life deceiving everyone around him. Eunice Yabsley gave evidence. The jury found Anthony John Allen guilty of the murders of Patricia Allen, Jonathan Allen, and Victoria Allen. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. He maintained his innocence throughout. He appealed. The appeal failed. Allen served his sentence without ever saying where Patricia and the children are. On 8 August 2015, Anthony John Allen died in prison. He was 81 years old. He took whatever he knew to his grave. Patricia Allen was 39 years old. She had 2 children, a 7-year-old boy and a 5-year-old girl, who attended school in Salcombe and who were by every account perfectly ordinary, perfectly happy children going about their ordinary lives. She had a bank account with money in it that she had earned herself, and that was never touched again. She had friends and relatives who never heard from her after May 1975 and who spent decades wondering what had happened. Jonathan Allen would be 57 years old today. Victoria Allen would be 55. Their bodies have never been found. The location of their remains has never been established. Patricia and her children are still formally listed as missing persons in the records of Devon and Cornwall police. The man who killed them died in prison with the answer and kept it. Hello everyone, thank you for listening and drop any feedback below. I would love to hear your thoughts and hope to see you again right here on Cold Case UK.